Hey, this is Cloe Wilder, and you're listening to WRSU FM New Brunswick, the home of Rutgers Radio.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chloe, and I'm the Assistant Music Director at WRSU 88.7 FM New Brunswick, and I'm joined here today by artist Cloe Wilder. Her self-released EP, Teenage Lullabies, just came out, featuring 7 songs, and you can listen to the EP now on Spotify. My first question I was wondering is, what's the story behind the name for your new EP, Teenage Lullabies?
So the first song we wrote for the EP is called It's True, and it ended up being the first single as well. And in the pre-chorus, we said, I don't make friends because I'll break them, what a teenage lullaby. And the second we put that lyric in the song, I was like, well, that's really cute. And I felt like it was going to go with the rest of the project. And that's kind of what it ended up being. The project just ended up being songs from the past 2 years of my life, romanticized to a point where they sounded the coolest. So, I think that's just where I just kind of knew that would have some sort of role in the project. I didn't know that it would be the title necessarily, but yeah, that's where that one came from. And at the end, I was like, okay, I think this kind of wraps it up nicely.
Yeah. So I see your room and I see the aesthetic of this whole album, and it's very pink. And I was wondering, is there a reason for that, and why?
I felt like it was the most romantic teenage color I could think of in a way. And we shot at the Pink Motel for the one of the singles, I Want to Be Alone With You. And I kind of knew that song was going to be the one that people remembered off of the whole EP. So I figured that the EP's aesthetic should mostly match that song. But yeah, that's just kind of where it started, because I knew that I wanted to romanticize everything and make it sound a lot prettier and a lot cooler than how it was when it happened to me. So I think that's just where it came from. And the first video we shot, It's True, was very visually based and just it didn't really have much of a concept to it, and pink just kept coming through in all of the videos, pinks and purples, and so I don't really know why it happened, but I like picking colors for projects. I think my next one's gonna be blue, and I just think that yeah, I don't know, and definitely shooting at the Pink Motel, I think kind of wrapped it all up, because we were like, okay, this is definitely the color. But my room is just pink because I couldn't think of what else to paint it in. It used to be a really ugly gray and blue combo, so it wasn't cute, and pink was really the only one I could think of.
It all really matches. It looks great.
Thank you.
Your genre has been kind of this dark pop kind of genre. So I was wondering, would you categorize your own genre as that, or would you say it's something else, or are you looking for a categorization?
Not really. And I feel like I'm so new, and it's so awkward to put your music in a box like that, because I feel like when you're writing, you think oh, I'm a dark pop artist. And I don't really like those boxes, but I mean, it definitely, it makes it easier to listen to when you kind of know what you're listening to. So I would probably say right now what I'm making is dark pop, alt pop, probably. But what I'm, making right now that hasn't been put out yet is not like that, really. So I kind of and that's why I don't want to put myself in too small of a box, because I feel then I don't want to be super shocking with the next project. I want it to still be cohesive. But yeah, so I would say alt dark pop.
Nice. Yeah. So I know also that in the history of your album and your tracks, you focused on mental health. And I was wondering what ways have your experiences with mental health influenced this particular EP?
Well, I started experiencing mental health issues really early in my life. I had really bad OCD growing up I started going to therapy when I was 4. So I've always been very open about it, and I've always been very self-aware. And it was something that as a really little kid, I was totally terrified of myself because of my mental illnesses, and I hated it. And I became so self-aware because I just never wanted to feel that way again. And then when I got into 7th grade, I had really severe depression, and I dropped out. I didn't drop out of school, but I started doing homeschool after that. And I just kind of think that it really shaped me, and this project is basically just about the past few years of my life. And I think that throughout my teenage years, that's been one of my main influences for writing, at least because it's so therapeutic to write about. And that's why I think I'm glad that I started talking about it really early in my life, because I can't imagine if I would have kept my really bad OCD to myself, what I would be like now, because it totally spirals. But I've always just been really comfortable talking about it. And so I think that that's why it's one of the first things that I go to when I'm writing.
Yeah, and I know during this time of COVID, like I feel like a lot of people are experiencing that too. Like I know you said you've been like writing new music. Like do you think like COVID's kind of had like any influence or impact on that too?
Absolutely, because it's such an uninspiring time. So I kind of like writing about being uninspired, which is like a weird thing to write about because you have to be inspired, right? But I feel like, yeah, it's definitely influenced me. And I feel like when I listen back to certain songs, I feel like I can tell what I wrote during, obviously I know, but I feel like a listener will be able to tell what I made during certain times in the world. And I think that's really cool. So yeah, I've definitely been going like, been writing some post-apocalyptic music because I feel like just taking what's happening. I love taking things that are happening and making them sound a lot more dramatic than they are. And I don't really have to do that with the current state of our world because it's very bad. And so I think I can easily talk about it. It kind of just comes from a place of like still being tasteful about it because, you know, it's a real thing that's really affecting people. So I try and just stick to how I see it and how it's making me feel. But yeah, it's definitely something that I've drawn inspiration from. And yeah, but I mean, I can't wait until I can just draw inspiration from people because that's my favorite. But right now, it's the lack of people.
Gotcha, yeah. And you were speaking about this a little bit, but like kind of how is your writing process and like what other things do you take inspiration from?
I take inspiration from myself mostly, which like I talked about that. I think that like my own mental health is kind of where I first started writing about it. That's kind of like the first thing I learned to write about at least. And people around me, like I love writing about specific people and characteristics. Like I love, this is kind of twisted, but I love when they like listen to it and know it's about them.
Oh, nice.
A song called Layla on the EP, and like I love that, and I couldn't use her real name because then she would definitely know. But I really believe that she listened to that and like knew it was about her, and it wasn't trying to be mean or anything, but it was just, you know, an important person in my life, so I love talking about them. But more recently, it's really just been myself and life and death and how I see things. And I feel like that's why during this time I've started tackling the like wider, more conceptual things rather than like people and experiences because I'm not having a lot of that right now. So yeah, I've been just like really thinking about life and death and how I feel about it and what I think happens after it and all of this. And, you know, like religion, like I've just been trying to, you know, go to a much deeper, darker place because I feel like that's where we all are right now. I feel like we're all just like questioning how we look at things and ourselves and our existence and everything because it's like so uncertain right now. So I think that that's kind of where I've been drawing most of my inspiration from currently.
Yeah, no, definitely. I get where the post-apocalyptic vibes are coming from.
Mm-hmm.
And I was also wondering, like, okay, you spoke a little bit about it, but I think Layla is like such a great track. It like actually is like so emotional. And like when you hear it, like I think it brings you to a certain place, like emotionally and kind of like mentally. So I was wondering, like, could you speak a little bit more about it and kind of like what the story is?
For sure. So this girl whose name is not Layla, but something like that. So I was really close with this one girl when I was in like, I think I was in the 6th grade and she was in the 8th grade. And at my school, that was kind of a big deal because the like 6th graders were in a completely different building than the 7th and 8th graders. And so it was like kind of cool that I was like best friends with this 8th grader. And she had always been like super troubled, but I absolutely loved her. Like I don't know about like the whole, I think it was like my platonic soulmate. And that's why it's like, I love writing about her because even though it was like the worst influence I'd had in my life, I, you know, really don't like the way I acted when I was friends with her. It was just it was really important. And I mean, she was just one of those people. She was so electric and like, I just loved having her around. And, I think I kind of felt like I had a responsibility to her as well because she never got into trouble when she was with me. So I kind of just wanted to be with her all the time and protect her and just be there for her. And that takes a toll on you. And then eventually, you know, she ran away and was running away pretty consistently, and we were still friends, and she'd come back every once in a while and see each other, but then she really ran away, and I haven't seen her in a really long time. And it was just kind of, and I'm not bitter about it. I do miss her though, which I kind of hate, because she wasn't good for me at all, and honestly, like, the things that I got out of it were more negative than positive. But I think she just like really shaped me, like, as a person, as a friend. I feel like I just kind of know myself better because of that friendship. But yeah, I felt like I had a lot of responsibility to her. And I think that, I don't know, she was just important. And I feel like people didn't really realize how important she was to me at the time. And so that's why I felt the need to like credit her a little bit. Because she didn't really do anything wrong. She just kind of showed me what not to do. So and that's where it kind of came from. And I feel like that chorus where it's like, it just feels good to feel good. Because I mean, like, I was never into that sort of scene. Like, I still am not. Like, I don't like being around that. But she totally was. So I think I was kind of making fun of it almost, like, oh, but she don't care because it just feels good to feel good, right? So I feel like I was just being sarcastic with it. That's why a lot of people have asked me, like, is this song about drugs? And I'm like, yeah, but it's literally me saying, like, this isn't worth it, Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's definitely like up for interpretation a little bit, but she knows it's about her.
It just feels good to feel good, to feel cool, to feel nice. It just feels good to feel nothing at all.
You asked on Instagram if people, like, what fans think are their favorite track in your whole EP. I was wondering what your favorite track is.
Oh, that's honestly something I don't really know anymore, because I was kind of rotating, and like every week I'd have a new favorite one, but now I'm just kind of like learning to love it as a whole, because I'm so proud of how cohesive it is, that in my mind it's kind of just like one big song, Teenage Lullabies. So I think that I don't know. I have like ones that are my favorite to listen to, and then there's ones that mean more. Like, I love listening to I Want to Be Alone with You. I think that vocally, I think I sound the best on Call Me If You Need Me. I think personally, Layla's really important. And then I really like In the Next Life, because I, talked about death, and I had never done that before. And I was really proud of like how I delivered that. On Your Side, it's angry. So I like that. I had never put out and I like that because it's so elusive and nobody knows who that one's about. And then It's True was the first one I wrote for it. So it's like they all mean different things for me. But I've just like learned to appreciate it as what it is, and it's an EP. And I feel like it was so important for me to have them all be equally good. So I think that I'm just like learning to love the 7 songs equally, but I definitely have like they change.
Totally valid answer. I understand. I was also wondering, like, a lot of your album, like I saw on Genius Lyrics, it was like written between you, like Jacqueline Young, Sam Nicole Losi, I think, and Ezzy. Mm-hmm. I was wondering, like, how did you all come onto collaborating on this album, and like, what was it like working with the individual writers?
Mm-hmm. So I had met Ezzy. We wrote together for the first time in like, I think in 2019, and she was like the first woman I'd ever written with. So she was always like super important. And I'd actually been listening to Ezzy like before I even knew that it was an option to write with her. But then, I met her through some producers I was working with. And I just like absolutely loved her. And it's really nice writing with people who are artists as well, because then you can kind of get that perspective. And talking to her like made me feel a lot less crazy about some things I was feeling about my art and putting myself out there. So I met her pretty early on, and she had worked with Sam Nicolosi. And so I really met Sam and Jackie through her. So she kind of like put it all together. But and then all of it was kind of found through producers, basically. But and then I met Sam Nicolosi after I'd met Ezzy and Jackie. I'd written with Jackie a couple times before too. And Sam was just absolutely perfect for the whole project, and I just love him, and I really love working with him. So I just kind of knew that first day when we wrote It's True, I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be cool. So and I literally every time I write with him, and I'm still writing a lot with like my next project, I'm writing with him. So it's like, it just every day was something cooler than the last day. So I love that. I love people that I can just like keep growing with, and it didn't feel slow or stagnant at all. So yeah, I was very lucky on how that fell into place, because I mean, those are some of like the most talented people I've ever met. So that just happened really naturally, but I feel like it was all kind of traced back to me writing with Ezzy that brought it all together.
Mm-hmm. And I had to ask, like, I feel like you are like pretty young in this industry, and I feel like all these people that you're working with must be older, or like probably at least a little older. So I was wondering, like, how does it feel to be like working with these people, and like, do you look for them to guidance, or is it more like you give and take relationship?
I do look to them for guidance, because I really, really trust the people that worked on this project. And yeah, it's become very familiar. And also before, when I was writing with kind of just like random people, I never felt comfortable like going into sessions, because I wasn't confident at all. And I'm, significantly younger than all the people I work with. And my writing like wasn't perfected yet. And so I felt kind of like a child in a bunch of different aspects, not even just literally. Like I felt like a complete child when I was coming into the music industry. And I feel like I would have felt like that either way. But these people, it was just really comfortable. And, there's like different ways that you can learn from somebody without feeling like they're just like talking to you like you're stupid. So I found that balance with these people, and it was so nice. I mean, and, Sam is an artist himself, as he's an artist, like it was just so nice to get that perspective, especially from women in the industry, because that is so different too. But yeah, I'm so lucky that like I found people who don't make me feel like inferior for it anymore. And also I think that since I can grow with this group of people, I don't feel like a child anymore. I feel like I've really grown musically, and I'm really confident now. And I feel like they helped me get there. Especially like Sam is so great in sessions, and I can ask him questions and he'll tell me like what he's doing right now, and he'll ask me my opinion. That's something I'm really not used to, is people like asking like, do you like this? Do you hate this? I was kind of just like, I put out plenty of songs I honestly didn't like, because I thought that was just kind of how it worked. But now I'm just like really putting things out there that I'm proud of. And if I'm not proud of it, I've learned to say, I don't want this out there. So yeah, I've become much more outspoken because of this project and because of the people who worked on it. And like I said earlier, like I just feel so much less crazy. Like I felt crazy. I felt like, I don't know, I didn't feel like an artist at the time. And now I really do feel like one. And I think that being assertive comes along with being an artist. And I've just kind of had to learn that.
Yeah, totally. That's such a great like inspiration, I think. Like also like being able to grow and change. That's really great.
Oh yeah, so valuable.
Mm-hmm. So I was also wondering, like, you mentioned the music video earlier and like the Pink Motel. How was that like filming? And especially like during COVID, it's kind of weird, but I was wondering.
Oh, it was so cool. It was like playing a character, because when you're in a location like that is just so fun, and I don't know, it was just so cute, and you had so much to work with. But yeah, and I also really missed filming with people. And I really liked the whole cast of that video. So yeah, it was really just me playing like this cooler, more confident version of myself. And I love that. Like any place where I feel like I can do that. And the Pink Motel was just fun. It was like our own little universe that we made. Yeah, and I feel like it went really well with the song, because I knew the moment that we wrote that song was so different from what I'd been doing, and it was kind of out of my comfort zone, and it was such a, what type of song that is. So I feel like I knew at the time, I was like, okay, this has to match the song, because it's so different. I feel like if it's, kind of the visuals are kind of the same as what I've been doing, it's going to seem awkward. So I kind of knew that I wanted to do, and I had the Pink Motel saved on my Pinterest boards. So I was like, okay, I feel like this is the place. Trip, who was in the video, he was like my fake boyfriend in it. I had one of his videos like saved on TikTok since like early 2020 or something like that. So yeah, I just kind of knew what I wanted to do with it, and I'm just like really happy with how that fell into place. But yeah, it was literally just like me playing a character, and I had so much fun.
Looking for a reason, I should stay another night. Call me if you need.
I know that like you did a music video for like I Want to Be Alone With You, but also like Call Me If You Need Me. So like they have different vibes, right? So like how did you decide and like settle on like a set and an aesthetic for both of them?
Well, Call Me If You Need Me, when we were writing that song, we didn't have like a chorus yet, so we didn't have a name for it yet. And one of the writers on Call Me If You Need Me, Marone, she was wearing purple Converse, and we were like, oh, that's cool. Let's just call it Purple Converse for now, because whenever we're writing, we like name it something random in the room, like statue or whatever. So we just had it as Purple Converse. And then the more I listened to it, I was like, this feels purple. So my whole Pinterest board for the video just became purple. And then when we wrote the chorus finally, which was like a month later, then it turned into Call Me If You Need Me, and it turned into this kind of like my, you know, talking about my escape to LA and how I know where I want to be and how that's so cool, but that's so sad because people already know that I want to leave them. So I think it turned into this whole like escape plan sort of video. But yeah, so that one was kind of easy to plan, I think, because it was not really a storyline, but I knew exactly what kind of feeling I wanted to convey, and I knew I wanted it to be purple. So that one was pretty easy. Then like, I Want to Be Alone With You, obviously I just saved the Pink Motel, and I knew that one had more of a story to it. Like we all broke into the motel and skipped prom. And then for It's True, which was another video we did off of the project, that one was the first one, and I just wanted that one to be pretty, honestly, which that one doesn't have much of a story to it, but that whole song is me literally making, I feel like that kind of ties the project together really well, because that one's literally me romanticizing like my teenage years, because I even say like what a teenage lullaby in that, and how people have been telling me that these are the golden years. So I feel like the video was kind of me making it look like the golden years when that's not really what I believe it is. So that one was kind of also being sarcastic, I think.
Yeah. And they're all really great videos, by the way. I think like everybody should check them out if you guys get a chance.
What a teenage lullaby, and it won't last, but they say that it's the best time of our lives. So tonight.
I know like another song that you released before Teenage Lullabies was You and Lonely. And you also performed that like live on the piano, and like I remember that was like on YouTube. I was thinking like what does that song mean to you? And also like how does it feel performing with the piano versus like just singing?
Well, I wrote You and Lonely in like I think 2019, and I can't remember when I put it out. I put it out like mid last year, something like that. I don't know, it's all a blur. But that song was, I had just started taking the music pretty seriously. Like I kind of just started traveling back and forth, and my friends were just leaving and leaving and leaving, and I had already lost like some pretty important ones prior to that. So I think that me kind of saying like I didn't think I'd have to choose between you and lonely. Yeah, like I didn't realize that me taking this on meant I wouldn't have friends anymore. And luckily I've figured out how to, you know, bridge my social life and my career. But right then it was very like all or nothing. And I was having to literally choose between what I wanted to do and these people in a way. So yeah, that one was like the first personal one I think I'd really like gotten into. It was like the first one I actually had a story to tell, and I actually had somebody to say, and I had people in mind. And before that, I just kind of wanted to make cool music. So I feel like that was, for me, in my head, I feel like that was kind of a turning point. But yeah, so that one was just like kind of the first personal one I did. And that's why I think like, yeah, like I said, I think that's where it started to turn into like real art.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like also being, I think like you mentioned like you played the piano since you were really young, and I was like wondering like what's that progression been like, and how's your relationship with piano and like
Oh yeah, I absolutely love the piano. I've been playing the piano for like, yeah, I started taking lessons when I was 4, and that's when I started taking vocal lessons too. So I feel like it's kind of equally as important to me because I started taking singing seriously around the same time as I did the piano. But yeah, it's just very comforting for me, and I was pretty classically trained at first, and I think that's why I had like such a good start with it, and then it's been more comfortable to, you know, write on it myself. But it's my favorite place to write, and I just love the piano. I love playing it. It's like the only instrument I feel confident in. It's really the only instrument I know. I'm trying to learn the guitar, but I found that I literally I don't feel the same about any other instrument that I do about the piano. My mom just got me a bubblegum pink piano for my birthday. So I'm pretty excited about her. but yeah, I don't even know what it is. It's my grandma had got that piano like long before I was born, and nobody had ever played it. Not even my grandma didn't play it, and she bought it. But she thought she was gonna play it, but she didn't want to. And I was the only one who ever played it. So I feel like that really, and then I mean, like I taught myself how to read music pretty early on. So I think that it really just pushed me. That's why it has like I love it so much, because I think that if that piano wouldn't have been there in my house, even before I was born, I don't think I would have like had the same feelings toward music.
I'm talking about you, who I thought I'd never lose. Didn't think I'd have to choose between you and
You've been writing, like you said, like for a while, and it's just kind of been like from a progression of like being pretty young and like getting like now you're like 14, right? I think.
15 on Monday.
Oh, happy early birthday. Any plans for your birthday celebration?
I'm gonna go to Miami. That's where I was for my EP release, and we just like stayed at a hotel and like didn't leave really. So I think that'll be fun. I'm gonna go with some of my family, which I haven't spent my birthday with my family since I was like 7. So I'm excited to do that again, and it'll be fun. And I can bring my cat with me. So that's really all that matters. We talked about going to like an island or something, but I was like, I can't bring her with me, so we can't go.
Oh, what's your cat's name?
Iris.
Oh, that's such a pretty name. Well, happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so I was wondering, kind of like flipping like this whole conversation, it's kind of like how do you go about navigating this industry when there's so many like conflicting opinions from like older people kind of like directed at you, and you're like hearing different opinions from so many people?
I feel like now that I have a team of older people who I like really truly respect, and I feel like they respect me as well, which I didn't really have before. I think that that's why I'm so okay with it now, because before, when an adult would tell me that, you know, I wasn't making good music, or I wasn't, you know, cut out for this or something like that, like I would really take that seriously, because I didn't know if I was cut out for this yet. I didn't know that I was a good singer yet. I didn't know. That's why like putting myself on social media even so early in my career was like really damaging. And I think that's why my relationship with social media is so jaded now. But now that I have people around me who I like truly trust and I truly believe in their opinions, like, and I've just learned that really not everybody has my best interests, whether they're an adult or not. So and now that I'm just so comfortable and proud of myself, and, you know, I know what I'm doing to a certain extent now. I'm always learning, but I feel like now I'm actually like a real artist, and I understand it more. So yeah, I've literally just had to learn to, and it also kind of pushes me now, because now that I am so confident, when people don't believe it, I'm like, why? So now I've just kind of wanted to do even better so that people can see it. And you're constantly trying to prove yourself, because it's music. It's not so like, it's always up for interpretation, and I could tell people exactly what it means, and it would still mean something different to them, and that's what it's supposed to do. But I can tell people, this is my music, it's really good, and they can be like, wow, this sucks, you know? So it's like, I just had to get used to it, and I just had to, you know, love what I'm doing and love what I'm making, and know that I'm good at it, because the people right now who are telling me I'm good at it are like the most important people in my musical career. So I feel like they've really helped me get to where I am.
Yeah, that's really great. And I know like I'm sure that you've probably experienced kind of like stereotypes or assumptions about you due to your age. I was wondering, like, how do you bridge that, and like how do you start a conversation about that?
You know, it was definitely, I'm lucky that I haven't been put in like too many scenarios like that, but it's for me, it's more just like an underlying feeling. Like, I feel like it's really easy to tell when people don't respect you. I don't know. I think I've gotten better at calling people out too. And I think I've gotten way more comfortable with letting people leave. And, you know, I think that that's what it's really all about, because your circle, it's so personal, and you're making music. I mean, that's so personal to you, and that's personal to other people, and that's important, and it's valuable. So I think that my circle's gotten much smaller, and that's literally all it is. Like, I just had to be comfortable with people who didn't respect me, and be like, okay, you can go then, because one day you're going to, and then you're gonna hate that you left. So yeah, I don't have any good advice for it though, because there's literally no way to handle it, especially when you're younger and you don't want to be disrespectful and people tell you you're disrespectful if you say literally anything. That's something that I get told all the time and I know I'm not. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. I really don't have like any good piece of advice to say about it, except like if you really love what you're making and what you're putting out there, then what people think about you is like slowly going to not matter anymore. And that's like a hard thing to do, but really once you get to that point, it's just you're not going to care. And that's kind of where I am now. That was kind of messy, but yeah.
No, yeah, I think that's totally valid and also really great like advice. I think like just learning from your own experiences is something that you can really do and like benefit from.
Yeah.
And so like I guess looking to the future, I had some questions about like you've done a lot of covers in the past, like Breathing by Ariana Grande and like Halsey's Without Me. So if you could have like one dream duet, who would it be with?
Probably Lana Del Rey, or I have a couple. So Lana Del Rey, yes, because Lana was like the first artist I really like paid attention to entirely. Like it wasn't really just about her music for me. Like I loved her. I loved her voice. I loved her presence. I loved her performances. I've been to one of her concerts. Like I loved her. I loved her visuals. I loved her as an artist entirely. Like I loved the whole package. And I feel like that's what made me want to be an artist. So I feel like she would probably be one of my dream duets. But right now, I've been listening to a lot of Phoebe Bridgers, and I absolutely love Phoebe Bridgers. And as a songwriter, I am just completely amazed by her. So I think that would be really cool too. But she's not one of my like early inspirations, because I just recently like discovered her. But I absolutely love her, and I think that would be a really strange but cool duet.
Our station loves her too, so we totally understand.
So good, so good.
I know she is. Well, I was wondering also like kind of what's on your playlist today? Like what are you listening to?
Let me go into my Spotify. It's like a lot of Phoebe Bridgers. I just opened my playlist. The Neighborhood, the new Taylor Swift, both of those new albums probably. Let me go into my liked music. Yeah, I was listening to No Body, No Crime by Taylor Swift this morning.
I love that.
I love a good female murderer song. Let's see. I've been kind of taking it back. I've been listening to Billie Holiday, listening to like early Lana Del Rey, Phoebe Bridgers' whole Punisher record, the new Arlo Parks album. Going back, listening to The Cure a lot. Yeah, kind of just all over the place. Death Cab for Cutie, Maggie Rogers, Fleetwood Mac, the Goo Goo Dolls, I named my cat after Iris. Went back to Billy Joel. Yeah, kind of all over the place right now.
I love it. I think your playlist is like so like encompassing.
Thank you.
So my final question is just kind of like, what are you looking forward to in the future? And like what with your art, but also just like in general?
Touring. I would love to perform for real people. I just think that is such a form of love. Like I think that is the highest form of love you can show to somebody's music, is to go to their show. Like I think that is true commitment, and I think that's beautiful, and I just love it. And I would love to, like I recently did like a friends and family type of show that was literally just people I knew. It was just a few people, and it was in a really big venue though, so it was cool. But I like looked into the audience and only saw people I knew, and that's cool because it's comfortable. But I would love to see people I don't know who are there just for the music, not because they know me. And I think that is, like I said, like I think that is literally the highest form of support you can show to an artist, is going to their show. Because that, I mean, even though you're probably going to get a really good show, like that's really not doing anything for you. Like you're going for them, and I love that. And I love the few live show experiences I've gotten. Like I absolutely love it. And I feel like live performances are really the only thing you can get better at by practice. Like, you can go to rehearsal studios all the time, but I found that like the real lessons I learn are when I like screw up on stage. So I just kind of want to keep doing them because I know that when it's time for me to do the big tours, that I will know what I'm doing.
Well, if you ever find yourself in New Jersey, I'm sure everybody at our station would love to go see you.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for this interview, Chloe. I had such a great time speaking with you. Yeah, so if there's anything that you want to mention or anything you want to plug, totally go for it.
I'm Cloe Wilder on all the music platforms, on all the social platforms, and yeah, I'm everywhere. Come find me. That's it though.
Sounds good. Well, thank you so much.